Okay, we're on. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
This is my Oprah couch. Do you like?
I do.
Okay. Welcome to Dallas Startup Week.
And I got coffee, so that's good.
We work plug. So I want Rachel to kind of give us a little bit of insight into her journey. I hate saying you're a young entrepreneur, but you are.
I'll take it.
You've done so much. So give us just a little snapshot into your journey into entrepreneurship so we can get to know you a little bit better and why we're sitting on this couch today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess you could say that I was a born entrepreneur. I think, sometimes you ask, like, is there a bug for entrepreneurship or where does that come from? I was always, finding ways to side hustle and make money as a kid. I came from humble beginnings, and so we were, very well taken care of, but there wasn't a lot of extra money to go around, and so I was always finding ways to side hustle before that phrase was really even coined. And I don't think that I realized it at the time, but I was doing all sorts of entrepreneurial things from a very, very young age, and just kind of figuring out ways to make money. My grandfather used to tell me if there could be a gene for making money, I had it. And so, one of the things, I was speaking at an event last year, and after the conference, my mom said, do you want to know your gene for making money? When you were 5 years old, you would go, and we would take you to McDonald's to order a Happy Meal, and you would say, Dad, can I get the 6-piece chicken McNugget today? And he would say, I don't think you're going to eat that. And I'd say, yeah, I am. I'm really hungry. Can I get the 6-piece? And he would say, okay, sure. Then we would go to order, and I would get a Happy Meal. And my dad would say, I thought you wanted the 6-piece. And I'd say, no, I want the Happy Meal. So we'd get the Happy Meal, and then I'd say, okay, well, you owe me $1.30 because the 6-piece chicken McNugget was $5.70 and the Happy Meal was whatever. Okay, so this was like, I don't know where this came from. I have no idea. This was from the time I was like very, very, very young. So yes, I would say, I think that it's kind of, people ask, like, is it a nature or nurture thing? I think entrepreneurship, I'm really more like a user. I didn't go to business school. I worked in corporate America and then really decided to launch this app and start my journey in entrepreneurship just from discovering a need in the market. And so I think some of us find our way into it that way. Some people know that they want to be an entrepreneur right away. But for me, that's kind of how I landed on it. But I think it was always there from very, very early on.
And Rachel and I, we had coffee, what was that, like a month ago, and you're just so inspiring to me because at a young age you also own like 4 or 5 houses on top of that, so you've always just had
the side hustle kind of never really stopped. So I worked full-time all through college. I had 4 part-time jobs to pay for school. I started my undergrad when I was 15 years old, and so at that time there wasn't an opportunity to get college loans for a 15-year-old, and so I worked. I worked as a lifeguard, worked in a barista, I nannied, I waited tables, and so I did that and was able to pay for school completely out of pocket full time. And then fast forward, moved to Dallas. I'm working here in corporate America, but the side hustle never really stopped. I started. When I first moved here, I actually did like PR for this apartment complex and got to live there free, and I would plan events for the residents. And then what I did is I would like pay myself a mortgage. And so after a year and a half, I saved up enough money for a down payment, got a house, had roommates cover the mortgage. I would charge them rent, obviously, and then after like a year or 2, I would move and buy another house. And then it's so funny because I was at the Hotel Let event last night. And chatting with them. Definitely check it out. I'll give her a little plug. Another fabulous female founder that does these designer houses, kind of Airbnb style. And I was telling her about this, and I'm like, yes, another way that I inadvertently kind of hacked the system, because as I lived in each house, I was able to not have to pay investor tax, whatever. I don't know how. But yeah, so I kind of always was doing this, like, all along the way, the side hustles never stopped. I did other various things to save money, but I think, she's about to ask me if there's been sacrifices and things like that, but
run the chat. It's whatever flows. I mean, I gotta send you questions, but I may not even get to that. She's like a modern day hustler, like
that's
I like but more cuter.
I
like a camel. You don't like a camel. But to get back into like that mindset that you have, because it's fascinating to me. Like sometimes we talk, I'm like, whoa, girl, let's take it down 100 to out of 10. But that's just how your brain works.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, very quick.
So when we talk about where the idea for the app came from, the intersection of fashion, innovation, and tech, what clicked for you to say, we're missing this, and now I've got to be the one to rep my wardrobe?
Yeah, well, so keeping up with that same theme, I started, instead of just getting roommates to pay rent, I found this app called Airbnb, and I could charge 2 or 3 times what I was paying, a live-in roommate to rent out my spare rooms and to rent out the other properties that I had. So I started using Airbnb and making a lot of extra side income, and then at that same time,
Can we talk about that a little bit?
well, yeah, we could
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Like how
were you doing on Airbnb?
well, I rented out.
The house?
Yeah, so I.
All of them.
I would. So I have a condo that I would rent out. Previously I had tenants, like I said, but it's a lot more work though. It's literally like a part-time job because it's me. So that at that point when I was using Airbnb and I was using Rover, I started using Turo to rent my car out, and at that same time, no seriously.
She's a genius.
So at that same time, my girlfriends and I were constantly going to different charity events and galas in town, and we would all, wear dresses. And our one friend had, tons of dresses, so we would always borrow hers, and we would kind of have this rotating closet. Well, then Instagram and Snapchat got really big, and so suddenly we were being photographed together in a squad pic, and no longer could swap dresses really easily over the weekend because we were already in a picture together on Instagram. So I knew Rent the Runway was getting super popular. There was tons of people that were renting dresses for events, but I was like, I need something to rent for like an event Thursday night. Like I need something to rent right now, and I don't know if it's gonna fit, if I order it, I don't know how it's going to come. And then I was looking at my girlfriends who all had like, frankly, shopping addiction issues. They would buy all these clothes, they would wear them once, and they would just hang in their closet, and then they would like always be in this rhythm of, oh my gosh, I have nothing to wear, but I need something new, but I don't have any money to buy something. And so I thought, well, wait a minute, what if we make this whole thing like the gig economy? Why isn't anyone else doing this? So really I started researching, is there an app? Is there someone doing peer-to-peer fashion? Is there anyone? And nobody was doing it. And so I knew in that moment, with the way that technology was going, with the way the industry was going, that if I didn't build it, someone else was going to. And so I knew that I had to like start, and that was pretty much what started Rep My Wardrobe and what gave me the idea. But my entire mindset from day one was, I want to give women a platform to have a side hustle. I want to create an avenue that they can generate additional income and become their own entrepreneur. And so because I always had that side hustle mentality, I thought, here's a great way that we can give women a resource. They don't have to spend $600 on makeup or vitamins that they're gonna like peddle to their friends and family, right? Everybody has dresses. Sorry, no offense. It's
No offense if you're an advocate, it's works,
yes,
we all name them.
the skinny wrap thing. But this was a way, hey, like, and everyone needs it. Everyone, every girl needs dresses to wear, so it just kind of made sense.
So as we're talking about this, let's walk people through the process, the app, so they can understand that not only have you created something where there was like seriously a void in the industry, but now you're empowering women and you're making them their own entrepreneurs. And who doesn't like a little extra cash on the side?
Right.
I do. And I don't want to let somebody carry my handbag for free. Not after meeting you in. So let's walk people through the app process so they can really truly visualize how Rent My Wardrobe works.
Yeah, of course. So the way it works, there's a lender profile and a renter profile.
And download now.
Yes, please. It's in the App Store. We have it for iOS. We don't have Android yet. That is coming, but we are in the iOS App Store. So you can download the app and create a closet online. This is just our website and the local market, and make sure that we are localized before we incorporate shipping into our platform. Not to say that we wouldn't ever. It definitely is a possibility that we'll be adding, but right now the idea is that users prefer to exchange in person, and so I think your app currently is maybe set as a default to a 20-mile radius, and you can expand it up to a 100-mile radius. So you can
For
look
a
at
dress,
this.
yeah, I'll do it for 4,000, $4,000 dress.
Yeah.
Not the, $10 ATM.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Okay, so, all right, is there anything else about the app that people need to know that we haven't covered so far before we get back into business?
I think I gave a rounded.
Can y'all give this woman a round of
Like
applause?
irks me. I wish we can't like change the world, right? But we can try. It's so hard on social media. It's really like everyone's highlight reel, and particularly in our industry, we work with a lot of influencers, and so there's always conversation around what people are posting and what you're seeing. And to be truthful, I think everyone that is successful, they're sacrificing something and they're putting hard work into somewhere. And so people don't always see that or like to show that. I'm trying to do a better job of showing that where I can, because there's a lot of days that are really, really hard. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifices. Me, for example, running Airbnbs, that takes a lot of time. That's like having an extra part-time job almost on top of doing this, but it's a sacrifice that I make, and it's time that I take away, that I could have had in my social calendar, because it's what it takes to get to where you want to go. And so I think, I don't say that to discourage anyone. I say it to encourage you, because if I can do it, you can do it. I don't have anything particularly that set me apart. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I didn't come, I don't have a trust fund. I just tried to figure it out, jumped off a cliff and built a plane on the way down. But there are a lot of sacrifices that you have to make on the way there to be able to, run a startup, be able to not have that extra income. So, yeah.
And then there's the process that we talk about a lot during Dallas Startup Week, where you have to pitch VCs or investors or things like that. What is your advice for people that are about to enter that process? Maybe they have a product or service, they need to get in front of an investor. How should they prepare?
So my best piece of advice, number one, is get the book Venture Deals and read it, and then read it again and maybe a third time if you're like me and not, it's a little deep, but it's very good, and it really gives a full understanding to the venture fundraise process and how that works. And so I, when I first started, had absolutely no idea. I didn't even know startup funding. I didn't know what the term VC stood for. Didn't know anything about the world of startups. So that's, first of all, quite different, because most people that, have startups in Silicon Valley have either been born and raised there or have, family members that are entrepreneurial or somewhat. And so I think, starting off, I got a lot of advice from very well-meaning and well-intentioned mentors who were business people, and they had great business advice, but it was very, very, very different than what, a startup would probably typically recommend. And so the first thing that I would say is I would encourage you to find a network of people that have actual startup experience, and that's different than business experience. Particularly in something that's based around technology. So that was a huge learning curve for me. It's very, very difficult to build a technology platform without a technical co-founder. And so that was something that I learned quickly. And in terms of funding, it's also difficult to find investment. Not always, but if you're building a technology app, you want to obviously have a good product and have someone that can manage the product when things, get bigger. And so you really need someone with experience, not a software developer that does business apps. It's quite different. And so once I got all of that in place, we released an MVP last year and had a small event where we were kind of testing the product, and that is when there was some press, and we worked with a couple different family offices in Dallas, and ended up partnering with Court and Cam Westcott, who gave us our first initial investment. And then, yes, it was great. They've been absolutely lovely. Court's here today. They've been absolutely amazing to work with.
Why don't you? He's trying to be like low key. I'm trying to be low key. Is it going to be, more curve focused, plus size? How do you see that kind of fleshing itself out, and what's the strategy towards encouraging those people to hop in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of times we get comments that we don't have sizing, and my response is, fantastic, we would love for you to post your clothes on the app so that other people can rent them. Why don't you post 3 items, and then other people will see that there's girls your size on the app, and they'll start posting their stuff too. And surprisingly, that's working really well. And so that's what we're starting right now, but we have different categories. So we will obviously be sourcing and trying to vet, getting more inventory in. Our initial strategy is working with stylists and people that have a fashion background, that have a lot of these clothing pieces already. And so they're helping get the inventory on, but we're definitely looking, for more plus size, more ethnic wear. I think that is going to be a big expansion into our platform, and also maternity. Because if you think about it, even women that have 2 or 3, if you have 2 or 3 children, it's very unlikely that your trimester is going to align with your event, season, and occasion all at the same time. Like, you're probably not going to get to wear that dress again. So that's going to be, a big category that we'll be expanding to. And what's been interesting is in the last 2 years, when I initially launched the platform, we thought that it would primarily be formal, specialty occasion attire is what we were calling it. If I'm going to an event, I want to rent something to wear. And what we're finding is women are very interested in renting even more casual pieces, career attire, items to wear out on the weekend, something to wear to a date. It's not like, oh, I have this formal wedding or I have this formal event, but for day-to-day wear. And so I think that we're going to be expanding more rapidly, more quickly than we even anticipated with adding that SKU into our platform.
And this is my last question before I open it up for Q&A. As you were going to get support for the app, specifically in the investor world, and sometimes I know kind of heading up things for the fashion track and talking to a lot of people, we're sometimes treated as like the redheaded stepchild. Like, we're the afterthought, or people don't really understand fashion. They don't understand the needs of fashion beauty entrepreneurs. Do you feel like there's more of an understanding of, I guess, from investors, are they investing more into fashion technology and beauty technology, or into fashion beauty brands? You may not even have an answer for that, but I'm just curious.
No, it's a really good question. I think, what I like to say is retail is not dying, it's just changing. And I think that consumers are much more interested in experiences. Whereas 10 years ago, you would go to the mall and buy an item, people are looking for ways to have more of an experience. And online shopping has dramatically changed people getting into the store. And so I think this is a unique way that we can plug girls in together and help them find, like, we had 2 girls yesterday that swapped dresses with each other, and we were so excited because they're like, oh my gosh, they're both a 00 petite. What? I'm like, they put it in the app, like, can you add the size? I'm like, I didn't even know that was, yes, 00 petite. So they swapped and they're so excited because now they're going to get to keep transacting. So to answer your question, I think that, yes, investors we're not really sourced, but really we are, a technology company. And so we're looking at investors that have experience in 2-sided marketplace apps, people who have done peer-to-peer apps or consumer-facing apps. But certainly, I think that fashion is changing, and investors are looking at it and so I think, when we do our Series A, we'll probably be able to bring some of them on, but for right now, it's more the tech guys that we're working with.
So if you have an idea or something that's in motion, focus on the user experience in addition to your amazing idea that you think everybody is just going to hop on board.
Women are running funds. It's a little bit different. What kind of experiences have you had? It's male dominated. I think it's male dominated for a couple of reasons. That's because we're not out there putting out. It's not that women don't have money or anything. What kind of experiences have you had? Or in this case, in this article, it was talking about when a woman comes to the table and there are a bunch of men, mostly white men, older white men, sitting at the table. Regardless of color, they look at women like they're redheaded stepchildren. Like, they're like, where's the guy? Who's going to make this pitch? Certainly it can't be you. So what's your experience?
So that's a really good question. I think you might find it fascinating that only 2% of venture capital funding goes to female founders, which we are working to change. Yes, you can clap. we want to change that. We are changing that. But one of the things that I like to say, even though my Instagram is the female founder, is I am a female founder, but I'm a founder first, and I'm a founder that happens to be female. And so I think one of the things that has helped contribute to my success is I've never let being a woman hold me back, or really even think of it. It hasn't really occurred to me as, oh, hey, I'm coming in and I'm pitching as this female founder. I'm just, hey, I'm a founder and I'm coming in and I'm pitching to you. I think that there certainly is still misogyny. I was at an event at South by Southwest and had, we were talking to some investors and I said, yeah, I have an app. And he said, oh, like a beauty thing. And I said, well, it's a peer-to-peer fashion app. And he said, oh yeah, I've heard of female founders before, like that period underwear thing, right? And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, that is not what female founders, so like, there's still a degree, right, where guys just aren't gonna get it, but I would say by and large, it has been amazing in Dallas. Like, when I go to San Francisco, the girls there say, women need to step aside and let women step up. And I think in Dallas, guys are not stepping aside, they are holding our hand and they are charging with us and celebrating with us. And so I don't feel a lot of discrimination as a woman. I don't feel a lot of blatant, oh, I'm not going to invest in you because you're a woman, or a blatant. I think that initially there may be a little bit of a barrier there to entry. But I'm interested in telling people my story and then showing our proof of concept through our traction.
That's kind of interesting because the conversations around the table yesterday were a little bit different than yours. I just wanted to share this article with people. It was in the March 1st, 2019 New York Times, and the article was When Women Control the Money, Female Founders Get Funded. So take a look at it. It's a great piece, and it's all women funders.
Yes, amazing. I'll definitely check that out. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So my name is on? Okay, my name is Dave. You may have to hold it a little bit. There you go. Or move your hand a little bit on the mic. Okay. So just a curiosity strategy question. What's prom season like on this? Like, do you guys have like a
Prom season? I'm sorry, did you say prom season?
Yeah, like on the app. Like, is there like a high school outreach team to get all the girls on there, or what?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So funny enough you asked. A big part of our story and why I wanted to create this was I didn't actually go to prom my junior or senior year because I couldn't afford a prom dress. I mean, I could have spent the money that I, worked waiting tables to pay $200 for a dress, but as a 16-year-old, I didn't want to do that because I was paying for college. So I never went to prom, and I think that that's the story of a lot of girls who might sit back or not have an opportunity to do those experiences. And so it's a huge part of our desire to reach out. Our platform currently is targeted at women post-college, more of a professional working woman, but I think that as we get more traction and as we expand, we'll definitely be dipping into high school and sorority for sure.
And Rachel, talk a little bit, there's also the philanthropic piece to your brand. Rachel's just been so gracious out the gate to partner with local nonprofits, especially as it pertains to clothing for women who are disadvantaged. So talk a little bit about what you're doing in the community and how people, if they want to link up with you and partner, like what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually just partnered with an incredible organization called Soul Reborn. They help women that are coming out of incarceration or domestic violence and help get them back on their feet and teach them life skills. And they have an incredible ministry where they, they're working with the girls up until right when they come out of prison, and then in the months after, they do community outreach events in lower socioeconomic areas. And they have a program where they're getting all of these designer pieces sent to them and they're selling them. And they have this store in Tyler, Texas, where they were selling Jimmy Choo shoes for like $30. And so we are connected with them now, and it's been amazing because we can utilize some of those pieces and rent them out on the app and actually get substantially more income for this organization than they would have if they would have just sold it one time. So from a sustainability aspect, it's fantastic. And then also as an added benefit, as our users are going through and cleaning out their closets and adding items to the app, obviously there's going to be pieces that are either dated or worn and they're not really rentable. And so they can still be donated and passed on for women in need, which is absolutely fantastic.
Ashley, and then my new startup week buddy.
So thank you, Rachel, so much. This is really inspiring just to hear everything that you've done. I think I have a two-part question. So my first question is I am interested in hearing more about your marketing strategy and just like kind of how you thought through about marketing this great app. And then also as you were talking about expanding into maternity especially, is it always going to be renting or will folks ever have an opportunity to say instead of renting and this person they want to sell it, will that be also an option?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So right now we're focused on rentals. I think that eventually we'll definitely have an option to buy straight out. It's something that we're figuring out, but can't build Rome in a day, right? So rentals first, and then we'll look at tackling that. And your first question was marketing. So we are using a lot of fashion bloggers and social media influencers, not particularly for marketing, but for a supply side hack. Again, because these girls have hundreds of pieces of clothing in their closet that they've worn once and posted on Instagram and can no longer wear it, or they don't want to sell it because they might rewear it again, but probably not for several months. And so it can be rented while they're not wearing it. And so that's been fabulous for us to get inventory on the app. As an added benefit, they have a social media following and their followers are already used to shopping through their closet through Shop Style or Word Style. And so people are already looking at them to purchase pieces. And so it's really great into our platform because instead of just swipe up to buy, they can swipe up to rent. And so, we don't pay social media influencers to talk about the product at all. I have a very hard and fast rule that we don't pay anyone. Our brand is really built on authenticity of women supporting women and the vehicle of enabling them to become their own entrepreneur. And so if people want to talk about my product, I want them to love it and actually use it and share because they're using it to make money. And so I think that has been really effective. We're obviously going to be doing some other video campaigns. We have a lot of work to do in the marketing department, obviously, to take this thing to scale and take it nationwide. I plan on hiring a CMO as my first hire after this fundraise round, and I want to hire someone probably from one of the organizations that I mentioned earlier, because I think that we have an incredible product and we have an incredible brand and people that are really excited about it, but definitely want to strategically help get the word out and do it, in a way that.
Don't worry about it. You just keep talking.
Got it, thank you.
Hello, thank you for sharing your story. That was amazing. My question is really kind of, I guess, about your future. Maybe it's already your present, but really monetizing the data that you're collecting. Because what's interesting is it truly is supply and demand. So what brands are people buying? What sizes are people buying? Like I was in Nordstrom Rack the other day looking for a light sweater. They don't sell light sweaters in July, but when the AC comes on, obviously we all want light sweaters. So is that something that you consider is monetizing the data?
Yes,
That's awesome.
absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, that was it.
That was it.
Oh, okay.
Now you mentioned technology and the actual challenges that you can share with people.
I think the microphone off, or turn it on, or hold it. Testing.
I'm sorry. You mentioned technology, right? And you had some challenges with technology and maybe
Yeah.
working that. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What issues you had? Or how you faced them?
Sure. I want to write a book about building an app, and I want to title it "Don't Build an App." Just kidding, but not really, but kind of. It is like not anything at all like what I thought. It's basically like building a house okay, so you have an architect, and you have your general contractor, and then you have all these subcontractors. That's like the best analogy that I can give. There is absolutely like no manual for how you build an app. There's like tons of books, but none of them really tell you how to do it or what to do. And so it was a crash course in figuring a whole lot out the first year. I found myself watching videos in how to code in Objective-C on YouTube so that I could speak more intelligently to my developers. And it is really, really hard. The other thing that's really hard is a lot of people, and this is just unfortunately in the industry and technology, say, oh, I know how to build an app. I've done that. And it is not, there's tons of different developers, but really finding the right team, as I spoke to a little bit, there's a lot of software developers that are not startup people. And so they're not thinking about the product in terms of how to scale it, how can we make this work, not just for one person, but over and over again. And so, the best way that I can explain it is if you're building a house and you're like, oh, I think I'm gonna move the toilet over there, and I think I want the walk-in closet to go there, and like actually I'm gonna put the kitchen. It doesn't work like that, right? Because you're building a foundation, you're building it, from the floor up. And so everything can't just be moved around. And it was a very, very, very frustrating process, the first 6 to 12 months. But I am so incredibly thankful that I walked through that, because it gave me such a better understanding of how the technology works now. And I think that it has enabled me to both appreciate and trust my team way more. And just to understand, the intricacies of it has allowed me to be a much better leader, I think, because I get, how the technology works and how it's functioning. And a lot of people so to say, if I would have had a team that came in and they were fabulous and just built me the product right away, I wouldn't have understood all the nooks and crannies and how the piping was wired, if you will. And so I think it's really important that I went through that. And honestly, my advice to you, if you want to build an app, is like, just go try to build one. Because that's how you're going to learn, that's how you're going to figure it out. Find some great mentors. I'm happy to talk to you if you ever want to reach out to me. I probably talk to 3 or 4 founders on a weekly basis and just, talk about ideas and give advice.
We're gonna start a Rent My Wardrobe Black Girls group.
Yes.
Our Facebook group for all those questions. We had one, and then Vanessa, you're on last one.
Cool.
Okay, so 2 more. The first one is, how do you go about quality control on the app?
It's a really good question. So we are community-based and community-focused. So we have 2-sided ratings and reviews within our community guidelines that help ensure, authenticity on the app and help ensure that you're going to get great service and a great product. So we are really using our users to regulate it, very similar to what Airbnb did. And so I'm hoping in short order, people are going to want to rent from someone that has a rating. And so same on Airbnb, it's very difficult as a host to lease or rent your place out until you have a rating. And so they actually encourage you to have a friend or family member come and stay in your home, go through the app, make a transaction through the app so you can get a rating and start renting. And I know that is going to trickle through our platform as well. So hey, do a swap with your girlfriend so you can get rated, and then other people, and that it's already happening now, which is so exciting. We had a user, we have one user that's already done 3 rentals. So I think once people get on and download it and see how easy it is, they're like, oh my gosh, this is super simple, I can do it again, So once the ratings pick up, I think that's what we're doing for quality control.
So, for example, when I was in college, we had a YouTube buy sell rent page. We have it for women's clothing as well. And I remember some girls, they're like, oh, Forever 21 tank top that I bought in middle school, $5.
Oh, for that, okay, great question. So, I see what you're saying. For right now, we do not remove inventory from the app or regulate it. So we are not requiring approval to post. You can download and post anything. What we are saying is we don't want Forever 21 or H&M on the app. Beyond that, it could really be anything. I would say kind of like maybe Express would be like kind of the lowest brand, if you will, that you would want to post on there. Not fast fashion. I don't think that those pieces will rent well, and so they will quickly, and maybe eventually we would incorporate something where we may say like, hey, that's not appropriate for the app. But for me, being someone who couldn't afford to go to prom, I wanted to create a platform that targeted every single socioeconomic class, and that gave everyone an opportunity to put a dress on or to put a jacket on and feel beautiful and go to an event. And so I think that we're going to have a lot of very, very high-end pieces. I think the majority of the app will be, free people, that sort of thing. And then I think that we are going to have a small percentage of the app that might be a little bit, less expensive brand. But I think that that's okay because maybe that is giving a girl a chance to rent something that she otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Oh, sorry.
You're mesmerizing, Rachel.
So my question comes to you as not only the owner of the company, but also as a woman. Have you used the app for yourself to rent product, and what has been your experience? And from that experience, how would you teach your community to do a better experience for those people that are renting and for the people that is putting the product up to be rented?
No, it's a really, really good question. Yes, I rented these pants yesterday. Thank you, Lily. I actually rented half of my outfit that I'm wearing tonight too. Every time I speak or have an event, I try to rent something on the app.
Okay, that's
Absolutely. The experience is awesome. It's super fun.
Yeah, that deserves a hand clap. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like designers wear your own clothes.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, our catchphrase is your closet just got a lot bigger. So it's like I have a closet of every girl in Dallas now. In Cameron's, which is great. If we were only the same size, that would be amazing. She's a little bit taller than me, but so I lost. Oh, you were asking how is it? Okay, so it's great, obviously, being able to rent it, and we know we have so many ideas of things that we want to incorporate from a messaging standpoint. We are partnered with a fantastic media company, Clear Cut Media, who is doing some incredible videos for us. I don't know if you guys have seen promos for the launch party. They have been incredible to work with, and so we are working on putting that together to do some actual try-ons and actual exchanges so we can show people how easy it is. We're also working on doing more with Instagram stories, and it's been really cool because a lot of the early adopters are posting completely organically. We don't even know these girls. They're using the app, doing the rental, and then posting about it. And we're like, hey, that's great. It's super easy. So we're hoping to add more of that, but definitely we'll have some more uniform. Because I think a lot of people, when I was starting out, I called every single brand advocate that we had and would have a coffee or a lunch with them and explain the whole program. And so, we're working on ways to concisely explain it quickly. But it's so disruptive that no one has ever done anything like this before. And so think about Uber, okay? Everyone knows Uber, right? If you say, I'm gonna call it Uber, but remember the first time someone told you about Uber? And you're like, wait, what? I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna get in a guy's Prius and he's gonna take me where? How is that gonna work? So this is the same thing. It's gonna take a while to get the messaging out and to explain to people how it works. And it's gonna be a lot of stuff like this, where we're sitting and we're talking and we're having one-on-one conversations. But we're definitely looking for ways to distribute that more rapidly, which is why I need to hire a CMO.
Okay, Rachel, just give us brief details about tonight as we wrap up.
Yes, tonight is our lunch party. We are so excited.
The fashion track always has the best parties.
Yes, it is the fashion track party for Dallas Startup Week, so I want all of you there. Please go to Eventbrite and get a ticket because we may sell out. But the cast of the Real Housewives of Dallas are going to be there partying with us, and it is also the week of the Reward Scout Conference, so we have a ton of influencers in town that are going to be there partying with us for a super fun night. So it's not like a presentation or anything like that, it's just a party. We have tons of Instagrammable backdrops for you to come and take photos, flower walls, and all sorts of fun